Hello!
Hey, everybody!
Hi. We're entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is the audio on? Because I feel like the audio's never
Oh,
on.
the audio's on.
The audio's on.
is 100% on.
Closer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No.
don't do that. It's a weird one.
My name's Kyle,
And I'm Anna.
And I'm Tori.
and Sean is not here today because he is under the weather.
He's feeling a little sick.
Actually, he had a fantasy basketball draft.
Alright.
Couldn't
We're
miss it.
gonna have to get over that, okay?
Fantasy
Somebody
basketball
was-
or-
Somebody was a few minutes late to improv practice the other night.
By a few minutes, he means 20.
Or had an independent
I
wrestling
learned-
show to go to.
Oh, sorry.
We're not gonna talk about that
Wait, are
either.
you touching my back? It's
Yeah,
okay.
that was an accident.
Somebody was a little late because he had to draft his fantasy team.
Mhm.
But he got a good lineup, and he's probably going to win his league. So,
Wow.
There you go.
You know, it was worth it.
cost-benefit analysis.
And in the time that it took him to come, I learned how to ride a longboard.
Can I also
There you
point out
go.
that in the time it took him to get there, the rest of his team didn't do anything. They just sat
Did you
around.
not just hear me say I learned how to ride?
Okay, sorry. They didn't do any improv.
Everyone excluding Anna.
No actual improvisation took place.
That's
The whole time.
I was improving in my room.
Were you?
Wow.
How'd it go?
It went good. Oh, you'll be happy to hear about this. Nick Kaufman, shout
Just
out.
take that one.
Him and myself actually worked a whole WWE wrestling match in our room. So that's going to be fun.
Wow.
It all takes place in Brandon's bed.
You gotta start practicing now for the big leagues,
Yeah,
man.
see?
Get the
Yeah.
old NXT
I'm going to transfer
call-up.
to Full Sail. And
Oh my
do
god.
NXT over there. But
I bet you could get a directing position over there. I'm totally serious.
I feel like it's not students that do it, though.
It probably isn't.
I don't know. We're Fire Talk. 93.7 FM.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, it's
We
free
will-
tea.
Are you...
What? Oh. What?
Do you want him to be replacement Tori?
If he wants.
Freddie would be good
We're, I
radio.
mean, you know, we're live right now.
We're live right now.
Come on in.
Hey, how would you like to be Tori? You can just be Big Daddy too.
Freddie T.
What are you guys talking about?
Growing up in a Christian home.
Our topic today is growing up in a Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
Number one.
A-okay.
Everybody, welcome, Freddie T, Freddie Taylor. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Sean, you can move my backpack if you want. We can all.
No, the backpack needs a chair.
Backpack needs a chair.
It's cold in here.
It is cold. I got flip flops.
In that case, I don't know how I'm gonna work the microphone.
Can you same way we always do. We're gonna have to share, you and I.
High budget.
Hi,
Hi,
buddy.
Tara. Shout out to Tara. She's watching.
What's this show called?
It's called Fire Talk on 93.7 FM.
All
Like
we talk
fire
about
chat.
is fire.
We can't
Like-
talk about
like
anything
FDR.
else.
Yeah,
Like pyrotechnics.
every week.
Fuego, if you want.
We swoosh.
I usually have to go at like an angle, kind of.
I may be taking a.
You're just.
There's a lot of people in here now.
Oh, there we go.
There we
There.
go.
Oh, that's nice. That's
You
nice.
look really big and Sean looks really small. And I look medium.
Wow. I was about to leave.
He's a sensitive
I
guy.
would never
He's
do that.
sensitive.
I'm not
So,
big.
Sean, you're kind of listening on production notes right now. This will be edited out.
We don't need
Do you want to kind of lead this?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
I'll
Let's
see
do
this episode.
All right, let's do this.
The
All right.
host with the most.
The host with the most. I'm excited. I just get headphones this time.
That's.
I never
I
get headphones.
won't lie. I'm trying to take these headphones right now. You'll excuse me.
All right, you guys ready to do this?
It's time.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'll need the mic like during the. Don't talk unless the mic's in your face.
Hello and welcome to Fire Talk on 93.7 FM. My name's Kyle. I'm sitting here with.
Anna.
Freddie.
And Sean.
Ooh, those are some nice names. I
Yeah.
like those names.
That was
Anyways, hey, make sure you check us out on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Fire Talk Season 1 to watch our live stream. You can watch our beautiful faces that we're making right now.
Mhm.
Everybody on 3. Ah, there you go. See, but on the radio, you didn't get to see that. You just got to hear it, which is weird.
Mhm.
Anyway, Sean, what are we talking about today?
You know, today we were talking about something we've kind of brushed on in the past, but I think it deserves a full episode. Today we were going to talk about what it's like to grow up in a Christian home. And a lot of people have done this, and there's a lot that goes into it. It's kind of the you know, there's a lot of blessings certainly that came with it, a lot of its own challenges, and a lot of stuff that was just plain odd. And as we go through that, we kind of, like we talked about last week, you know, being into the journey into adulthood, you look back and you're like, man, there's some things I'm really glad that I learned about, and some things that really blessed me with. So that is what we were talking about today.
Cool. That's a nice topic. That's
So
a loaded topic
Yeah,
too.
there's a lot. We can have a long show here. This could be the 2-hour special.
I gotta
On
eat.
93.7 FM. Freddie T, did you have something to say?
I'm not gonna be here for 2 hours.
Oh, Freddie T. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we actually introduce Freddie?
I don't think we did.
I don't
I'm
think we
sorry.
did. I'm sorry. If you're watching the live stream, you got to see his introduction. But we're joined. We have the presence
It's a
of
privilege.
yes, the privilege of having. Who are you?
I'm Freddie.
Freddie
Yeah,
T. Freddie
there it
T.
is.
Whose last name is not T. It's actually Taylor.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that.
Not a
For
lot of
those
people
of
know
you that are friends with me on Facebook, my last name is Taylor. Taylor.
So Tori, who is usually on the Fire Talks, feeling a little under the weather today. So we were fortunate to get Freddie T in the studio to help us talk about growing up in a Christian home.
Freddie is a good friend of ours, and he has, you know, certainly an interesting outlook on growing up in a Christian home. We call him the Jackson villain because he is from Jacksonville, which is, you know, we're certainly all from very different environments, and Freddie kind of adds that Jacksonville feel that you just don't get with Tori. Jacksonville and St. Pete are very different places, so we're glad we can expand our horizons. We still have our resident Floridian. I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
Do this.
Yes. God bless Duval. So I guess to begin with, can you just, you know, everybody just kind of give me an overview of your home life? You know, growing up in a Christian home means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For some families, that's being really, you know, very conservative just in everything that they do. You know, you can't play cards, you can't dance. For some people, that means it's just like any other home, except you're C&E Christian, so you do the Christmas and Easter kind of a thing.
CEOs.
What?
CEOs. This
CEOs?
is Christmas and Easter only.
I like that.
That's when the church services really fill up.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
what my pastor calls it. This is really hard.
We're trying to share a mic between two people.
If you're
Freddie
watching
and
on
I,
our live stream, you can see that we only have 3 mics, but we have 4 people.
and we wouldn't want it any other way. So let's go right down the line, starting with the one and only Mr. Kyle Hawley.
Hello.
You've talked about your family environment a little bit before, but tell me about, you know, just kind of quick 10,000-foot overview, challenges, blessings, whatever. That's a DSC thing we like to say.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Of what it was like growing up in a Christian home.
Okay, so fortunately, I didn't have any of the you can't dance, can't play cards or anything. So I was fortunate in that aspect. I think the only thing my grandparents ever tried to ban was like in middle school. My grandpa's like, "Oh, don't watch MTV," and I was like, "Okay, I guess so. Why not?" But then like a week later, he was like, "Oh, it's all right." Anyway, so yeah, I grew up in a Christian home. My grandparents have always been a part of the church. My grandma actually works at the church right now. She's the director of children's ministry is what I call her. I don't really know what her title is. She just does a lot with kids ministry. And my grandpa's always been on the worship team, always been a singer, which is cool because he's kind of the old guy amongst all the youngins up there. But yeah, so as a kid, always, you know, Sundays and Wednesdays went to church. Christmas, always read got out the Bible before we did presents. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was kind of my overview, I guess. Very simplistic, not anything. Also, we were Democrats, so that was we were not conservative Republicans, and that was my Christian home. So
That's awesome.
Anna?
All right, so my mom got saved when I was young, so it kind of started out. It didn't start out that way, but eventually it became a very Christian home, and she was very serious about us being set apart, and so she wouldn't allow any type of magic, anything. So that was like, I didn't watch Disney movies when I was a kid.
Wow.
I didn't even know what Harry Potter was. Like, I was that kid in school. And I was also the kid, like, if there was any sort of Halloween event or something going on at school, like, I had to go to the library and, like, read books alone.
the only trick or treating was like the trunk or treat
Yes!
in the
Oh, yeah.
church parking
The
lot.
Harvest Festival.
Shout out to the pumpkin party.
The Hallelujah Fest.
Yeah. I was always at those, man. But yeah, we went to church. My mom started working at church when I was in middle school, so I was at church like every day, like all the time, but I loved it, so it was good.
Freddie?
Awesome. Well, we didn't really start going to church till I was in like 7th grade, so I missed all the horrible VeggieTale episodes.
Me too.
And-
Wait a minute. Hold
Oh,
on.
oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at a talking zucchini all day. Like I've seen my friends like do it. Like we had this daycare called PlayStation, and that's all they would play. And I'm like, what is this? Can I say crap on the radio?
No.
Well, you just
Okay.
did, so.
What is this mess? And so I'm like, these are talking vegetables. I don't want to look at this. And then like the corny songs and whatnot. So I was
Corny
very
songs.
fortunate
Get
to
it,
miss
Get it.
that part of my Christianity.
Freddie?
But I'm glad I'm here now.
I have a question for you real
What's
quick.
up?
Do you like to walk with tomatoes?
Stop. I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's a reference. And tomato is a fruit, so it's all good. Yeah, caught you, son.
Oh.
We
Those
the
flower
most
plants.
dramatic part about becoming a Christian was VBS. And VBS, for those who don't know, is like Windshake camps without the awesomeness. So,
Stop.
oh, sorry. You guys didn't like that plug-in. Anyways. Yeah, VBS was a lot. It was more like a daycare. But growing up Christian was pretty fun. We had a Hallelujah Fest, kind of like Trunk or Treat. Yeah, it
No tricks.
wasn't like that. No tricks at all. And I became a leader at my church. My dad's a deacon now, and my brother, he does his little music ministry type thing. He just started music his like senior year of high school, so that's pretty cool. We're all pretty holy in a sense. Some holier than most, but it's all good though. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
So, Sean,
Sean.
what's kind of your background in growing up in a Christian home?
You know, it was cool for me because I came from an awesome church environment. It was a really great church, but it was very, very small, and it was Pentecostal to a T. But the fun of it was, like, you think of Pentecostal, and you think of, you know, some of these southern churches, people running and rolling in the aisles, and it was like all the Pentecostal theology, but it was typically, you know, advanced in their years, white people in southern Maine.
Well,
And so it was not, it just wasn't very typical. So, I don't know, like, I don't really know where I'm going with that, but it was a very interesting environment also growing up in a Christian school, which didn't really adhere to one denomination. Point being, it was just a very big part of my life. And I knew a lot of kids that grew up in that kind of environment and they didn't like it. It usually wasn't that big of an inconvenience for me. Like, I can't really remember there being a point where I was like, this is just ridiculous. This is the worst. I can remember, though, like, there was some stuff that everybody was in on that I could just have no part of. Like, and my mom knows where I'm going with this if she's tuning in. Pokemon was a no-no in my house. We were not watching Pokemon. It's too violent. That's just the end of it. Like, and it was stuff like that were just, it was non-negotiables.
Well, do you think that was because of like the Christian environment, or was that just more of her just being a parent and not wanting you to watch violent things?
You know, the more that I think about it, that probably had less to do with being in a Christian home. It's just more
I
my,
was just wondering.
my mom, the way that she is. No, it's a very good point. Yeah, I aside from, you know, regular church attendance, like, it didn't really feel that different to me. But looking back now, I can kind of see how things were different. Like, a lot of the things that my parents instilled in me, like, you know, just a lot of different things. In terms of values, I can look back and really attribute that and, like, see how that that lines up with living a Christian life. But at the time, like, it was stuff that just made sense to me. Like, you know, be honest, be respectful to people, you know, always try to be kind. Basic stuff that I thought was just part of, like, your parents tell you that. Now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, wow, like, all this stuff had a really biblical basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that, you know, you need the Bible to be a moral, kind, respectful person, but it certainly helps to have that back up, and I can look back and see that now. So overall, it was a really positive experience until all my friends started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then it was no longer a positive experience for that short span. But besides that, I always really enjoyed it. So I guess kind of going from there, I touched on this briefly. What were some things that were just, it was just a no-no for living, like, growing up in a Christian home? Like, what were the things you were like, God, if only I wasn't growing up in this Christian home, I could do whatever. And you know,
Oh man.
not the big things certainly, but the Yu-Gi-Oh cards of the world. Like, what was it for you guys?
Yes. Can I go first?
Please.
I'll go first. One of them was definitely wearing shorts to church.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
I go to a Baptist church in Jacksonville, and like I feel like it's only my dad that doesn't let his kids wear shorts, because I see people wear shorts. Me and Ben Carr go to the same church. You see the way Ben dresses now.
Oh yeah.
And Ben will dress like that. He'll come to church, and I'm calling people out, and I use the last name. But he'll go to church in some gym shorts. And I'm like, oh, those are so comfortable. I don't want to wear these jeans. And my dad won't even let me wear joggers or headbands. Like, headbands are my thing now. And so, like, it's really, like, he's like, oh, there's a time and place for everything. It's kind of like, if you ever played Pokemon, that's what Professor Oak will say if you try to ride your bike in the building. He'll look at, you'll touch the select button, and it'll be like, you can't ride your bike in here. There's a time, place for everything. That was my dad. My dad was Professor Oak, like, everywhere I went. So, along with that, I couldn't watch Dave Chappelle anymore after 7th grade, which was unfortunate. But we still had the DVDs. My dad never got rid of them, so whenever he'd be at work, I'd watch it. So, it's funny. Funnier than Kevin Hart, that's for sure.
Well, I said this a little bit before, but there was definitely, my mom was very big on nothing with magic or anything like fantasy oriented at all. So like, I didn't see Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or like, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but Aragon, when that like those books came out,
that trash movie.
right? Like,
Oh my gosh.
Ironically, anyways, Chronicles of Narnia was huge, though. My mom loves Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh yeah.
Which has a lot of the elements of those things, but C.S. Lewis is the bomb, so I guess it's alright. But I remember always being so jealous, and like some of my siblings would, sit in their room at night with a flashlight and read, Harry Potter or whatever, like the secret reading. So lame. Christian kids, they sneak books in their room to read. But yeah, that was a big deal in my house.
For me, I never had anything banned due to Christianity or due to my Christian upbringing. Anything. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of things that were outright like, oh, you can't watch this or do this. So I don't have a lot to touch on for that. Like I thought I was gonna be able to like talk more and be like
Democrats.
Those Democrats.
I tell you, us liberals, but yeah. So I mean, it was nice though. Kind of. It was always funny for me because I would see the kids that couldn't watch Harry Potter, couldn't do, whatever, play Pokemon or whatever. And it was weird for me because I was like, well, I can. not in a way like, take that, but it's I can.
No, that makes sense. I don't even know where I was going with that. I think I touched on it. Really, that was like the biggest no-no in my house. It was that and Halloween.
Yep.
I understood my parents thinking about it because there's some people who are like, I feel like they don't understand us pretend. They take it way too far. Like it's okay, it's just fun. I didn't grow up trick or treating in my house, although I didn't really ever have an expressed desire to. Like they weren't really keeping it from me.
Mm-hmm.
We always just had the pumpkin party at church, and that was fine with me. Everybody got together in the fellowship hall and. We all had our costumes, and there were candy, and there was pinata. It was a great time.
See, what's great about being a Christian that was allowed to trick or treat is I would go to church, get all the candy, and then go around.
Oh my god!
And Sean, actually, for a good 4 years in a row, I was actually a hockey player. I thought you'd enjoy that. So as a little kid, I would have oversized pads on and a jersey. So.
There you go.
I get it.
That's all you get.
It was. I remember at my church we had the pumpkin party, and there'd be a costume contest, and whoever won got like the hugest. I mean, like the hugest candy bar I've ever seen in my entire life. King size, whatever, like king size candy. And looking back on it, like I'm trying not to think like, oh, they used offering for that. It's a possibility. I don't really care. Like that's a good use. That's getting the kids in the doors. But one of the categories was like the best Bible character. So it would be like really typical stuff, like this kid's a fireman, like this kid's a whatever.
This kid is Moses.
This kid's Moses. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Freddie just took a picture of my microphone grip. For those of you wondering, the proper technique is between your thumb and your middle finger, and then the rest of them are raised. So as you have full pivot control of the microphone.
I like it.
So if you want to do like a fade out and slowly make it like you're talking further and further away, and then you pull in really close for like.
And if you're curious to actually see this grip on the microphone, if you go to YouTube and search Fire Talk Season 1, you can actually watch our live stream and watch video of us of what's happening right now. Because Freddie T is just kind of, I don't know what's happening over there.
Sorry.
He's having fun though.
I just saw a really funny tweet.
And no one can hear you on the radio, just so you know.
All right, cool.
Okay, moving
Yeah,
on.
let's move on. It was a mistake to bring him in.
That's
I'm
okay.
just kidding. We love Freddie too. We love Freddie too.
Freddie's our intern on the show. Welcome aboard. So kind of to change the tone a little bit, there have been a lot of times in my life where I look back and I was very, very grateful for growing up in a Christian home, and I still certainly am for a lot of reasons. I had a lot of opportunities and was able to learn a lot of things that I wouldn't have known otherwise. Maybe had I grown up in a home where Christianity was not important.
Mm-hmm.
Could you guys talk about some of the blessings and some of the benefits? And this doesn't even have to be in your spiritual walk, like things that were just helpful to you from growing up in that environment.
I have a little bit of a funny story. When I was a kid, my mom, you get in trouble and then you're sent to your room for a while, but like she added the Christian element. So if you got sent to your room, you had to go find a verse in the Bible that talked about why what I did was wrong.
Oh my gosh.
And you had to use that in your apology.
Whoa.
And that's how you got out of timeout.
You gotta dig your own grave.
Yeah.
Right.
So she'd give me the Bible concordance and the Bible and be like, all right, now go to your room. So I got really good at,
Oh my God.
finding some, verses on respecting your parents and whatever else I could find in there to get out of timeout.
I think that's the highlight of the show. When I was bad, I got a concordance and a timeout.
But looking back on that, I think it's a good view to have that when you get in situations like that God should be the first thing you look to. Like my mom instead of getting angry at me and taking it out in anger, she used it as an opportunity to edify me as a Christian. So
Wow.
I don't know.
I always hate having to talk after Anna.
Anna is forever preaching on this show.
Seriously.
From now on, Anna's the designated closer.
She's
Everyone speaks before Anna.
always the moral compass of the show as well.
Seriously.
I was gonna say LOL, but
LOL.
it's too
LOL.
cliche.
For me, I guess the biggest benefit, I don't know. I was trying to think of something kind of more, I don't know, profound to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the simple things. If I had the church friends or whatever,
Yeah.
I had my school friends, public school and everything. And then, and quick shout out to Josh Outing, who is amazing. He's right at our door, and he's a great guy. So I had the church friends, and so it was kind of cool. I got to do things with them. And I got to kind of experience their lives because some of them were, in more conservative homes where, they couldn't, like we were saying earlier, you couldn't watch Harry Potter or something. And aside from that, also, I love working in kids ministry. All summer long, I was a children's pastor, and it was the coolest thing ever. I've been working in kids ministry for almost a decade now. Literally, I got out and then just went right back in. So it was kind of cool because obviously if I didn't grow up in a Christian home, I wouldn't really have that experience working in kids ministry. So
That's awesome.
That's kind of my
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love going after Kyle because it's so easy.
Oh, man.
Oh my
This guy.
God.
Biggest bird
This
I've
guy.
ever heard in my
Whoa.
life.
Jeez.
Talk
I'm just
about
playing.
kids
No,
ministry.
So my
love-
actual favorite thing is I just had
love
spiritual
children's
encounters.
I love children's
Prayed every
ministry.
night.
I loved going to church for a couple of reasons. Like Kyle said, for the church friends, I used to get in trouble a lot as a kid. So church was my way out of punishment in a sense. Say you guys ever get progress reports? They were the fake report cards halfway through the semester.
Yeah.
So my dad took those really seriously, and he knew exactly when they would come out. Because my brother would get great grades and be like, "Dad, look at my A's," and then he'd be like, "Frederick, where are your grades?" And I'd be like, "Oh God!" So
I forgot them.
I wouldn't show basically. I wouldn't show him till on a Wednesday night on our way to church. I'll show him in the parking lot. This way he'll calm down through the service.
He'll get some Jesus.
And then,
and then
yeah,
calm down.
basically. And then hopefully the conversation after church will simmer down, and he'll be understanding that the teacher didn't put in the grades yet, even though she did. And But no, that never worked. But the hope was there, and at the same time, my church has really given me a lot of opportunities. We have this thing called the Gary L. Williams Scholarship, which sounds really familiar because it's his dad. I go to my pastor is Gary Williams' dad, and there's a scholarship they do every year for the graduating seniors, and it's a scholarship for 4 years to any college that you get accepted to, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to FBCM.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely something for me. It was huge. Was the church community. It's just the people. And we'll talk, the way that we see this in our morality and the way that we interact with people. But in terms of just benefits that were just helpful aside from spirituality, my church, was huge for me. It was huge. Currently, I'm on scholarship because I'm attending an AG university, and it's been enough for me to consistently not have to worry about buying books out of pocket. My church has really come alongside me with that. It's always very encouraging to go back, and it's always, how are you doing? How have you been? And a lot of that comes with growing up in the same church your whole life. I've been there since I was a baby, and I've been told this is like an old school church thing. I thought this was everybody. Everybody, it's not. You don't call people by their first name. It's always like aunt this or uncle that. I've got a million aunts and uncles at home, and that's just the way that it is. And it's been really cool because it really is like that family atmosphere. When I was in 7th grade, the church needed a new bass player, and I played the upright bass. Shout out to my 7th grade self.
Hey.
I hadn't made the jump to electric, and I didn't know how. That stuff's expensive. You can't. I mean, Anna, your parents are music teachers. I'm not suggesting that they're criminals, but that is not cheap. That's not cheap. You can't learn how to play an instrument for nothing unless you're good with YouTube. But there was a man in my church, Bob Glidden. Bless that man. He taught me how to play bass, and that was it. I went to his house a few times, and I still play bass with him. Every time I go home, I play bass before Sunday school with Bob, the same guy that taught me. And I'm not the bass wizard, but he taught me enough where it gave me a love for it, and it's something that I like to do, and it's just a cool skill that I was able to pick up. It was always having a reference to put down on job applications. It was, there was always somebody that needed something done on their lawn somewhere that, you can have a chance to make some extra money when you're a young teenager. Or it's like you said, getting to work with VBS or the youth ministry. That's really cool because that's something you can put down on a job application. Those are things that wouldn't have been there. I remember when I was 16 years old, I got to go to Uganda on a mission trip. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Put aside the fact that we were there, doing the Lord's work. I got to see a different country. That's crazy. How many 16-year-olds get to go to Africa, much less, leave their immediate area? And that was a huge blessing. And a lot of that was because of the interconnectedness I had with my church family and then putting me in touch with the right people. So that was hugely beneficial to me. So looking back, that was really one of the best things about growing up in a Christian home. And in the same way, kind of transitioning out of this topic, you could see the way that my parents and my family would be doing that for other people. Right now my dad is a painter, and there will be people in the church that they just need stuff done, so he goes and helps them. Or you don't really have to be an expert to shovel snow, but it seems like he was always stacking wood for somebody or shoveling somebody's snow. That's just the way it was, and it's a full circle thing. My mother the same way, always doing whatever she could to contribute in the church. And that was just a really good example to be set for a young Sean, I guess. So to change gears a little bit, where do you see your Christian upbringing now in terms of your walk with Christ, in terms of your spirituality, in terms of how you interact with God and with others?
For me, there's a situation I've been dancing around in my head about how to talk about it because it's not something I can talk about too much. But there was a lot of actually negativity that was brought on by Christianity in my life at one point or another. And again, I'm dancing around it because of things, but because of personal things. But in all honesty, that was something that made me self-reflect a lot, and made me kind of own my faith a lot more than ever just being my parents' faith or my grandparents' faith. So that's kind of where I see it now, where I'm here at Southeastern University by choice. I'm here following Christ by choice, and putting any negativity in the past because I was able to work through that
Yeah.
and come to my own conclusions. So that's kind of where I see the the Christian upbringing now, I would say.
That's awesome.
One thing I would say that I can still see reflected in my life, in youth group, like one of the biggest mentors I ever had was my youth pastor, and I think that's a common thing. But he really invested in me, and I don't know, I like growing up in a single parent home, I was just in that weird phase in middle school where you don't know what's going on, and he, put me in leadership and said, you have a calling on your life, like you need to seek after this, and I can still see that in the things I do, even here at Southeastern, like getting involved with missions and leading a missions trip and doing stuff like that, just having positive influences in my life that said, like, you are capable, you do have worth, you can lead people. It still influences me, it still gives me confidence, and I think that's very important to my character today.
Absolutely. I see a lot of it. I think in the way that I interact with people and see the world, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I think coming from a background where you were raised to believe, everyone has value, everybody is one of God's children, the people around you are not just people around you, they're people that might need your help, and at the very least, they need your prayer. I think that really has just helped me to have a positive attitude. It's easy to look around and see the way that the world is, and just how messed up it is, and just be really negative and be really jaded and say, we can't do anything about this, why should we bother, why should I care, it's not my problem. But I think being raised in an environment where you look around and you say, what can I do to help, that has really helped me tremendously. That's helped me to, keep an open mind to a lot of things, and to just really try to have love for my fellow man. And that's something that's really cool as a Christian, because as we come into a time when Christians are becoming known for less positive things, unfortunately, be that, intolerance or hate or, what have you, it depends on the person, hypocrisy. People have negative experiences with Christianity, but it's really hard to look at somebody living out a life where you look at the people around you and say, you have value, and it's hard to look at that person that says that and say, oh, what a jerk, this person isn't living it out. So that was a big thing for me, and regardless of where you stand religiously, it's easy to get along with people that are loving and respectful towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Something that my parents taught me that I didn't really equate with Christianity until later on was, be nice to people with bad jobs. Be nice to people you don't know. Like, that's not easy. Like, the people that work at toll booths on the highway, that stinks. But, like, just being loving and respectful to them, I get it. We're not going to turn their life around. That's probably just one positive drop in a bucket of negativity. But just really being that change that you wish to see, and just doing what you can to help people. So that was definitely a big thing for me. And Freddie Taylor is going to have to make his exit here in just a moment, unfortunately due to time constraints. But Freddie, if you want to share really quick with us how this has impacted you now.
Oh yeah, for sure. One thing I learned throughout my walk with the Lord was it's very important to be, I don't even know the word, like, I think relatable. And like, I see myself more relatable than like organized religious, because like some like the name itself like can draw people away, and not saying that like I'm forcing religion down people's throat, but it's kind of like showing somebody a really good song and then telling them who it's by, and they'll be like, oh no, Justin Bieber. Like, it's like people want what you have until they figure out like where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like, I'm really in love with like getting people excited about like Jesus, and doing just good things for other people. Like I lost my words. I can't say no to people. Like I always take on more than what I can work with, but that's just the person I am, and that's the way I was raised. So I'm always willing to help somebody, and it's just the Jesus within me. So
that's awesome.
I think that was a good exit too.
Yeah.
So like
that's
that was a great thing
out,
to say. Yeah. Well, hey, Freddie, thank you so much for being on the show, being on Fire Talk today.
It's appreciating you dropping by, my friend.
Filling in for Tori.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't wide enough.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know how to
I don't know what
transition.
that
There was something
means.
he said that wasn't in the mic, and I don't know how to transition from that.
I'll
But
get out of here.
hey, while we do transition, make sure you go to YouTube, search up Fire Talk Season 1. You can go watch our live stream, watch all of our past episodes, which actually do feature Tori in them.
Yes.
They do.
And you were listening to Fire Talk in 93.7 FM. So, Sean, where do we go from here?
You know, I think we've looked at the past a little bit, talking about the way that we were raised in Christian homes, and how sometimes that was fun, sometimes that was maybe a little difficult. I got a text from my mom saying, "I can't watch Pokemon, wah wah wah." Like she's not even ashamed that we couldn't watch Pokemon. She's still very happy about it. To tell you
She
the
still
truth.
doesn't want you to watch it.
And you know what, Mom? Honestly, I don't watch it now. I don't. So it worked. Like, mission accomplished. Well done.
We'll check up on him, okay? We'll go in his dorm and be like,
Please do.
you're watching Pokemon.
To be fair, I really don't feel like I'm that violent of a person. Like, so I don't know. She was onto something. But I guess
I grew up
moving
watching wrestling in WWE, and I'm okay.
ahead- and hockey.
And then
Sorry, I said wrestling in WWE, didn't I? I meant to say hockey in
Yeah.
WWE.
Two certainly very
every violent sport.
yeah, boxing, UFC, the whole thing. I was a very violent man.
Oh gosh.
Rugby.
I can remember.
Rugby.
I was on a drive with my dad back to Southeastern, and sometimes you're in a car for a long time. You get into these deeper discussions, and I kind of asked him. I was like, "Dad, like, how do you even figure out how to be a dad? Like we get along so well. Like things work really well. I just don't understand because, not that I plan on being a dad anytime soon, but the question is still there. Like I don't really get how
But
it
he's
works.
single, ladies.
Yeah, exactly. That's subject to change.
Hey.
Not anytime soon. Again, Mom, don't worry about it. But his whole thing was, there's not really like a handbook. Like you kind of have to figure it out, but you really look to what your dad did and what your parents did, and you say, I like this. I'm going to keep this, or I don't like this. I'm going to change it. It's true with all parenting, not just being a dad. Sure, it's like that. No, I'm not sure. I don't really know what it's like being a mom. This took a weird turn. Point being, what are some things that growing up from your Christian household you plan on instilling into your family, should you raise one someday?
For me, the first thing that comes to mind is there's some traditions that we do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny. My fiance always kind of makes fun of me for being really traditional. Because the way I talk isn't necessarily traditional. Like when you hear me like talk about things, but then when you see me like do things, they're like, wait a minute, like that doesn't like line up. But like I said earlier, like reading the story of Christmas, from the Bible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, every Christmas, and I remember growing up, and I started getting to read it, and it was funny because the presents were cool, and even as a child, those probably did weigh out sometimes, but there was that moment when I got old enough, I was like, oh my gosh, my grandpa's letting me read like the story, like I felt so cool, So it's probably a lot of traditional things that I really do like. It's one of those things. I had a conversation with my fiance the other day. Shout out, she's listening, but and we were talking about when you hear a hymn, like a hymnal, you feel comforted. Like when you have that church congregation, it's one of those things like it's easy to look at and be like, oh, they're traditional people, whatever. But, and I might say that, but then I hear it and I'm like, I feel at home. I feel good.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know if that goes into a parenting thing. I'm not going to sing hymns to my child, I don't
Yeah.
think. But again, there's some traditional or traditions that my family does that are based in the roots of Christianity that I'll probably continue on.
I don't know, like my mom, I guess I can't speak to the dad thing very well, but
I
That's okay.
can't either.
We need that representative.
my mom was always she was the classic, like, encouraging, loving mom, and she was also very disciplined. I would always walk in, like, to her room to go talk to her and see her, like, praying or doing her devotions or something, and be like, oh, sorry, back out slowly. But, I don't know, like, I always felt so comforted that if I was ever going through something, or if, if I was stressed out, or if I felt like God didn't have something in control, like I could go talk to my mom about it, and she would pray about it, and I always knew, like, she was behind me. Like, if no one else was there, my mom was there praying for me, and and so I definitely want to be that kind of consistency to my kids, like that support. They can always come to me, and they always know that, no matter what happens in the world, their mom is there praying somewhere.
That sounds familiar. I think a big thing for my family, and I touched on this a little bit, was involvement. Like, in my local church, that was just a really big thing. And so involvement in the church really is something I really hope I can instill in my family someday, should I raise one. You know, my church is tremendous. It's awesome. It's also very small, and it's in the middle of a very unchurched area. You know, you guys might be able to, you know, touch on this. The Northeast, they call it the Frozen Chosen. I don't know if anybody was at First Chapel last night with our awesome speaker, Jordan Boyce. The man was from Connecticut, and it was exciting to me, not because he was from Connecticut. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a pastor from Connecticut. he broke the mold. There's a glitch in the system. We produced a Christian. We did it. It worked.
The Northeast.
The Northeast did it. Yeah, the third revolution.
The
third
Northeast,
revival.
that's not New York City.
Seriously. Yeah, exactly. Good job, Carl Lentz. You hold it down up there, buddy. But I don't even know where I was going with that.
I do have a story if at any point you don't know where you're going with it.
I think I'm back.
Okay.
I definitely want to hear the story. But regardless, it was a small church in a very unchurched area. And we were always like all in, like there was always something going on, and it wasn't service just for the sake of service. It wasn't like we need to serve and be involved and get positions and roles,
Right.
like just to do it. It was like we just did it because that's how it was. Like it was a church family. Like a big thing for us is potluck Sunday. If that sounds a little old school, everybody gets in the fellowship hall. Everybody brings a crock pot. Like I can still tell you which people like make the best stuff and like where they sit. That what their pew has been for the last 45
Of
years.
course.
The recipe has not changed, and it's the best. But it's been, you know, my mom she's like so dedicated to these. We'll be like, Mom, are we going this week? And she would tell me, no, I didn't make anything. I'm like, Mom, like it's okay. Like that's how it works. You've been at it for like 15 years. Like you don't have to make something this Sunday. It's okay. But that's the way that it was. Like everybody's contributing. We're going to contribute too. And it was little things like that. And like it wasn't to have a role. It was just we're all going to have lunch together. Like bring something. And like that was normal. And then, you know, there came a time when we all wanted to buy our pastor a new lawnmower or a new car. Like our pastor, for some background, the man's 87 years old.
Ooh,
And he gets up every Sunday. Pastor Bob, he still preaches a sermon. But because of that, when you're 87, living in a small town in Maine, you get 3 feet of snow the night before. You can't do anything about it. So, lo and behold, the men and women of the church would show up. They'd plow out his driveway. They'd shovel his steps. They'd, Pastor, you good? You know, you need anything? Bring in some firewood. Do whatever it takes. You know, like I talked about with VBS, always doing what you can to try to be involved there. And like I said earlier, you know, being involved in a local church pays huge dividends. I don't think I could ever stress that enough, like how important that is to just get involved in one. And the past couple of years, you know, I church hopped a lot. It was a good experience. I enjoyed it. I got to see a lot of different traditions and a lot of different ways that people did things. But you know, it just wasn't the same as being that environment where you grew up, and it was like having that extra one big extended family all the time. And I think to me that might have been the most precious thing to me about growing up in a Christian home. And hopefully that's something I'll be able to instill within my own family, because I think it's a really positive thing.
Yeah.
So kind of moving on from that into maybe a lighter direction. I feel like within Christianity, in the Christian home, like we touched on this. Why do I keep saying that? I keep saying these weird things.
You keep saying that we touched on something.
We touched on this. Oh, we touched on this. We touched on this briefly.
We laid hands on
We
this.
laid hands upon it. I don't know. I'm just turning into an old man.
I
on
see
the
that
radio.
hand over there. Yes, I see that hand.
Yeah, amen. Is there another? Moving forward, I said that a few times. We're going to play Buzzword Bingo next episode of Fire
Gosh.
Talk. Every time I say something foolish.
Pastors are never leaving a church. They're always transitioning.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah. You know, you don't.
Andrew Gard didn't leave to go to Grace City. He transitioned.
He transitioned
to go to Grace City.
We use that on ourselves, though. I was involved in a youth ministry, and I left it. I had class during the time that it was, and I stopped being a part of it. I told the pastor, but this is the first time I confessed. I just kept saying I transitioned.
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
transitioning out of that role. It was I needed to transition.
Maybe I should have, over the summer, I
Go for it.
just told the kids, I was like, hey, you know, I'm leaving, and like, I cried, they cried. Maybe I should have said like, I'm transitioning.
It's so much
You know?
easier.
There we go. It would have softened the blow.
It's so much easier, but so much.
Sometimes it's just easier to not address the problem. Like whenever
Oh,
my dad drops me off at the airport to come back to Florida, we do what we call it the dump and run. It's like we do not
That's true.
have like a meaningful goodbye, because like we had it earlier and like we're on good enough terms where we don't need a sermon
Right,
before
right.
we go. Just we pull up to the airport, you go, bye Sean, love you, and I jump off in my back and I get out of there and start thinking about someone
Book
else,
it.
or we're both going to be in rough shape. So I know what you
Totally
mean.
this.
The next time we're going to be like, well, I need to transition back into Florida now. I'm going to transition out of the truck, transition onto my flight, transition out of Orlando Airport and into my Uber and back to Southeastern, where I will transition into my bed and go to sleep. But yeah, that's a very good example of like we just have these like weird subculture things in Christian homes that like nobody else is in on, like Veggie Tales. Like I just grew up around so many Christian people, it didn't occur to me that like that was just an us thing. Like
Yeah.
I cannot imagine having to explain Veggie Tales to someone who had never heard of it. Like so you're telling me that your children's spirituality is largely informed by talking animated vegetables.
I would just compare it to like, you know, in public school when you watch Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's
In
like.
Sunday school we watch Veggie Tales.
Serious? Oh my gosh, it all makes
There
sense.
we
Like,
go.
Phil Vischer,
Oh.
shout out to you, man. You're Bill Nye for Christianity. But I guess like, what are some of those? And you touched on this briefly. You talked about it, Kyle, like traditions. Like, what are some of those things that like you know are just Christian home things? Maybe only your Christian home.
Gosh.
That's a hard one.
I don't have anything off the top of my head. I guess this is kind of just came to my head quick when you touched on this. A big thing for me, and again, it's not really a word or anything, but we always had, for the longest time, my church had like church productions. We would have everyone every Christmas and every Easter. We've since transitioned out of doing that.
How have you?
Yes, we have transitioned out of doing that, but and it was funny because my grandpa, his brother, so I guess technically my great uncle, but anyways, my uncle, and you know, they were always like in the productions. My grandma was always like a seamstress or whatever for the productions.
Oh yeah.
I remember being a kid, I was like a little shepherd. I grew up and I was in high school and I was, or like I think it was like middle school, and I was I played Joseph once,
Hey.
and I was like, yeah, stepping up, you know.
The Shepherds are the Joseph Farm team.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you got to do your time before
Yeah.
you're the man.
and it was funny because as a kid we had like children's productions as well.
Yes.
So I guess those are some of the goofy things. I mean, if anybody has experienced doing church productions,
Many.
I mean we were kind of a larger church, but at the time it was definitely had the kind of the 90s feel, even though it was like in the 2000s.
Yes.
So it's like that
Oh, yeah.
old school kind of stuff.
Yes, I
So
totally know that.
just take that for what you will. That's my thing.
Yeah, we did those too. We actually had this. It was like a Christian version of the Christmas Carol. We called it. I don't remember, it was Scrooge something, but
Oh, I can already picture this.
it was
Oh boy.
wonderful.
Do you ever have that moment where someone starts saying something like, my church did something like this,
Yeah.
and you're like, I know exactly what
yeah.
you mean.
You started saying children's productions. I've been through many of those, my friend. I know exactly what you mean by that.
It was great, but yeah, we did a lot of those too. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. So Sean, you go ahead.
Okay, I'll move
All
right
right.
along. A big thing in my house, and this is true for a lot of churches, but especially with us, was sunrise service. I
Oh,
don't,
boy.
you know, I'm 20 years old now. I can't think of a Sunday in my 20-year Christianity career where we did not do sunrise service.
What is sunrise service?
That's not a thing?
I'm sorry, maybe
Are you
not.
guys
It
serious?
might be a thing, but we definitely don't call it that. I'm not
Oh, okay,
sure.
yeah. It's if you guys are like Methodist or something, it might be different. For us,
I'm AG. I'm AG, yeah.
my man. All right,
For the most
so
part.
here, yeah. Here's kind of how ours worked. Is I might get the time wrong, and I'm probably gonna get an angry text if I do. But if I'm not mistaken,
Sean's mom, get your phone ready.
seriously, get ready. I think the service started. Oh gosh, it was probably like 6:30, 6:45. Like that is when worship and the service starts. So you get up early. So in our house, the alarm would be going off at 4:30, 5 o'clock
Oh,
in the
Gosh.
morning. Everybody gets up and like it's not a big deal in Florida. At 3 in the morning, you can go swimming and be very comfortable. You do this in New Hampshire, like Easter season. What's that?
boy.
April. It's like 15 degrees outside.
don't go outside.
It takes
You have
like
to
a
shovel before you leave.
You're not kidding, dude.
So
we
true.
have been down that road. So everybody gets up and we're like, oh, like half awake, like shuffling around the house, like
Your bones are creaking because it's so
Seriously.
cold.
Wait, was this every Sunday?
no, oh heck no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. No, Easter
We
Sunday.
didn't do
Oh,
this.
okay.
Easter Sunday.
I thought
This
you were
is-
just talking about like first service,
No,
second service kind of
no.
thing.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
my
Like
gosh.
7 o'clock. service.
I don't know. I probably would have had a backsliding season in my life. If I was up at 4:30 every morning for church, I would have been a Franciscan monk if that was the case. Like that was their thing. But yeah, so that's what we did. We'd get up, 4:30, 5 o'clock, time for church. The phone's buzzed. I'm gonna fact check it.
Oh boy. I hope it's Sean's mom.
6 o'clock.
6
It is 6
o'clock.
o'clock. Thank you. So it was my father that time. Big fans of my work here on the show. 6 o'clock.
They're actually watching on YouTube because they search Fire Talk Season 1 and they're watching our live stream.
Oh my gosh, and he just reminded me of the all-time greatest Christian church tradition. This is where, like, Christianity sounds weird if you've never heard of this. We get up nice and early, 6 o'clock service, alarm's going off at 4:30. Here we go, we're going to the church for one of the biggest all-time church traditions on Easter Sunday, the Bethel Christian Church Kazoo Band.
Oh my God!
You guys know kazoos?
Yes.
Was that a thing for you
I have
guys?
no idea
That
what
was
you're
not a
talking
thing.
about.
We had a bell choir for the kids. Had like a bell choir.
Yeah, it was a kazoo
Okay,
choir.
yeah, we had a
is
bell
what it was.
choir.
Yeah.
Kazoos. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
so we get up and you go up, play 5 Easter themed songs,
Oh,
Up From the
my.
Grave He Arose. If you guys have never heard of Beautiful Hymn in the Church with a chorus of kazoos, you are missing out.
Was that for all the non-musicians or?
What are you implying?
Wait a minute.
I consider
You're
myself
right.
a
The
kazoo
kazoo takes a
musician.
lot of talent. It does.
You would be surprised. If you don't get your lips right, like sometimes the kazoo like buzzes on your mouth, it feels weird. Anyway, so that was our big thing. Everybody gets up at 4:30 in the morning, we go to church, we all play kazoo, and now that I say it out loud, I see why you might think that's odd if you've never heard of it.
It's just a Northeast thing.
Yeah, it must be.
Maybe we've slowly frozen ourselves over the years and we just kind of lost our touch with reality. But it was always one of those weird things, but it was cool. We got on board, like kazoo band's a big deal.
Mhm.
We had practice. Before there was a thing, like you went to kazoo band practice like that Wednesday before.
Was this a kids thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't not a bunch of grown men up there with kazoos. Except for the choir director. And he was like, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big job. But yeah, that's what we did. Kazoo band, that was our tradition. Sorry for rambling, but
No,
That's
it's-
okay.
reminiscing
I
on
learned
kazoo band.
something.
That's okay.
It's a special time.
on a slightly serious note, this was kind of something that I thought of earlier, and it just goes with kind of being in a Christian home and having people in your life that are, especially family, that are really instrumental in kind of keeping your faith throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
My great grandpa, I was been very fortunate. My mom had me when she was like 15, so I got to meet a lot of great grandparents and a great grandma. So there you go. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not advocating that, but it was cool. I had 2 sets of great grandparents up until I was about 20, I believe. And just about a year ago, my great grandfather passed away. But when I was getting older, I got the chance to be really close to him, which was really cool, and actually get to know him on more than just you're my great grandpa kind of level. But what's really cool, I spoke at his funeral, I guess I would say this, and I told this story, but the last memory I have of him wasn't with me talking to him. Actually, it was actually my grandpa, him, and then my grandpa's brother, who had come up from South Carolina to New York to visit for the weekend or something. The 3 of them were in the kitchen, and they were actually talking about all the old productions and the times that, like, my grandpa and his brother, my Uncle Dave, they had both played Jesus at different times, and about the struggle of playing Jesus Christ,
Right.
which is really a big thing. It's not just something you take lightly. I'm just gonna act. Here we go, Jesus.
Mhm.
And it was crazy because I got to hear the 3 of them laughing and talking about about their Christian faith, about growing up in the church, and it was so cool because like my last memory of my great grandpa is talking about Christ, and with his family, and that has always translated into. He was very instrumental in showing me, growing up without a dad. He showed me, hey, this is how a father loves his children. This is how a Christian father loves his children with godly love. So that was a kind of a story I wanted to say, just because I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. No, that's really important. Anna, did you have somebody in your life that kind of brought that along?
Yeah, like I said, my mom was really influential in my life. Definitely, though, my youth pastor has been the biggest influence in my life spiritually, besides my mom. And I don't know. He actually has his own church now. He's not a youth pastor. He moved up, graduated. But
stepping stones.
Yeah, stepping stones. But he was just so humble and patient with me in the process that I was going through. High school's crazy time, but I don't know. I don't even know if I can pinpoint something specific, but just his faith and belief and just being that spiritual father in my life was very, I don't know. I want to be that to other young people. It's just made me want to mentor, to pursue, and it showed me a very positive view because growing up before that, I went to church, but there wasn't a lot of people that I felt like genuinely cared about me, which is a very selfish thing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where to go from that.
Well, whenever I do kids ministry, my goal is always to just show the kids love and show that they're like cared about.
Yeah.
Because I think we miss the point sometimes where we're so busy trying to, beat Bible verses into
Right.
them. Come back, remember your verse, and you'll get points or whatever.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, there you go. But like when the kids come in, because we're the church, my home church is kind of in the middle of a city, kind of. It's Binghamton, New York, which if anyone thinks that sounds familiar, it's because it's on a list of the top 5 most depressed cities to live in. So we have a lot of inner city kids that come to the church. There's hardly anybody that has both a nuclear family, both mom and dad in the picture. So my goal is always, I'm just going to show these kids for the hour and a half, 2 hours that I have them, that they are loved, and anything that they need, like they can always talk to me.
Yeah.
Very fortunate that my fiance has always been big in kids ministry. Always can talk to her, and I'm very careful with the leaders that I have as well, because I don't want somebody that's gonna if they were allowed to hit a kid
Right.
with a ruler, they would. I want people that are going to be up there that will show them love, and hopefully have that play out in the rest of their life.
I heard a statistic one time, or I don't remember what it was, but it said that kids develop most of their like religious views before the age of 12,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're like being a kids pastor like that. It's a very influential time where you can shape. This kind of sounds bad, but you can shape what they believe about religion, what they believe about God.
Absolutely, it's a really important time period. Yeah, anytime you get the chance to be in that position, Kyle, it's really smart what you do. Just trying to instill the value of valuableness, I guess. Like just make sure that they know how much you're valued, because
Right.
like we said, blessings of a Christian home. We grew up and we understood that. We understood the value that we had as individuals and the value of those around us. And I think we can look to a lot of these inner city places with crime and this and that. We can say, oh man, how can people do this? They don't value the people around them. It's probably because they were never taught to value themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts there. So that's really important, man. That's very good. And to kind of go back and answer the question for myself here, it was cool being in a Christian family because everybody had something to offer me in terms of stuff that I learned about and growing in my faith. My brother is 9, and I learn from him all the time. He's not like a theologian. He has obviously just a very basic understanding of Scripture and these things, but he's so encouraging to me. Like I remember my freshman year, I left for school and everything, and I'd come home and I was talking to him, and I remember this vividly. He was like, "Oh man, dude, that day that you left for college, I was like praying for you so hard," and it was like the nicest thing I heard. Like if my then 8-year-old brother could remember to pray for me, man, like I have no excuse not to be praying for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that.
Also going back to my great grandpa, shout out to him in heaven, pop. When I was going to Valley Forge, the first college I went to, before I transferred down to the amazing Southeastern University.
Mm-hmm.
But I was back on a break or something, and he told me, he was like, hey, I miss you, by the way. He's like, I always make sure I pray for you every night. And that was the best compliment or anything that I've ever received. And like, it might sound weird to say that's a compliment, but like, he could have been like, oh, hey, you're doing a good job in this or whatever, I'm proud of you. But like, saying, hey, I pray for you every night, I was like, man,
That always feels so good.
Right, it feels so good, It's just so cool.
Yeah.
Like, again, I keep going back to this, but it's having those people in your life, especially when you grow up in a Christian home, or even if you don't. I mean, even if you're a new Christian, if you're listening to this and you're kind of new to faith, just having those people, and especially when they're family, it's even better. But having those people that can really just show you the love of Christ, and even small ways, just say, hey, I pray for you every night. That's something that is tremendous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. On that same note, we're running out of time here, so to kind of wrap up the show, what do you think is the best takeaway? You know, the best thing that you got from having the privilege of growing up in a Christian home?
Well, I missed out on the kazoo band. Which
you sure did.
Looking at our comments, by the way,
Yeah.
on our live stream, it actually says Tara had actually said that she thinks that's just a New Hampshire thing. By the way, so,
The church was in
Maybe
Maine.
it's just your church.
That's entirely possible.
The best thing for me, though, I think it's a common trend. Is kind of the family aspect. I kind of went to a bigger church, not a mega church by any means, but kind of a bigger church. But still, it's funny coming back. I was a children's pastor there all summer, and still everybody would come up to me. Oh, I remember when you were this big. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So having all those people that know you and your family, and I mean, there's always been things. I remember my grandpa always tells a story. There was one time in his life. I don't know if I was born yet, but you know, he couldn't. They were kind of struggling for money. And one of the pastors came up. He's like, "Hey, I can't say who this is from, but here's, you know, a check for $1,000." You know,
Wow.
so stuff like that. You know, just always having people's back and not needing to, you know, have the glory for yourself. Just giving the glory to God.
Yeah.
Definitely, I completely agree. I think growing up in a Christian home and going to a local church, you have that foundation. Like, every time I go home, I love going back to church and seeing everyone. And, like, I know that I don't know, but I know that if I'm not successful in Lakeland, I can always go back to Great Falls, and I got like 50 families who like.
I always know, like, I could always like fall back on being
Yes,
a kids pastor there.
Oh yeah.
Exactly, like if I wanted a job, I know where to, you know. So it's just kind of the foundation of the safe, warm place. I don't know.
Absolutely. I like what you said about the foundation. You know, a big thing for me was stability. That no matter what happens, you know, you can always have a place to ask people your questions, and they might not know the answer, and you know, either way, you're gonna get prayer. You might not always get answers. You might not always have guidance or what you're going through, because we can't expect people to always have the answers to everything. But you can always get that prayer and support. And I think, to me, you know, no Pokemon, no Halloween. That's peanuts in the face of you know, navigating your life, and not just your childhood, but your whole life, and knowing that you have that background and those people that are there praying for you and caring about you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this was kind of this was a fun topic. It it was a little deep in some parts, but also it was very fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very fun to talk about going to the
Absolutely.
Christian home. But hey, if anybody's listening on 93.7 FM, feel free to head on over to our YouTube. Go ahead and check us out. Comment what you guys, if you had any fun experiences growing up in a Christian home, or even negatives, and how maybe those have turned into positives or something. But we'd love to hear. We'd love
Your
to hear about
opinions
it.
on Veggie Tales?
Yes.
We'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely. Any kazoo musicians want to back me up here?
I think we FCU worship. And they did the Ola CD, so
You're
why
right.
not?
The
You're
kazoo,
right.
Kazoo.
the kazoo album's on the way. Stay
It's
tuned.
coming. It's
Looking at
coming.
you, Chase.
Well, hey, my name's Kyle,
Anna.
And my name is Sean.
and you're listening to Fire Talk on 93.7 FM. And here is Echoing Angels Leaving Here.
That was a solid show.
Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed that. I have, like, kind of headphone marks right now. But,
Uncomfortable.
I feel like I can't hear anything like normal now. Anyways, I'm Kyle. That's Anna.
She doesn't know what she
That's
is.
Tori.
I
I'm Tori.
was trying to figure out the song.
It's Leaving Here by the Echoing Angels.
The
You just
Echoing
said it.
Angels.
We have the weirdest music selection on 93.7. Not that we're trying to say, hey, don't listen, but we do have a weird music selection.
Never
So-
mind.
Anyways, thank you guys so much. Have fun. Have a good day.
Have a great
There
day.
you go. There you go.
See ya.